Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey Bazza, how are you? Yeah, I'm all good, just chilling in the hot tub at the moment. What are you up to?
Just been reminiscing about our last trip. Thought I'd give you a shout.
Okay, yeah, that was a cool trip. You think I'd do another one? Yeah, I'm up for that. Get on a plane later today. See you tomorrow. Cheers, dude. Bye. Today's day one. We're just leaving north of Brisbane. It's 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning and we're just heading our way off to Mitchell. Plans to basically drive all day to Mitchell and take a dip at the local artesian hot spas before just sort of heading south about 30k to a free campsite we found on WikiCamps. The pool we're actually in now is heated from the Great Artesian Basin, so the temperature they reckon is about 37, 38 degrees centigrade all day long. Quick view here just of our free campsite. Absolutely nobody around, and luckily we're still outside the fire ban at the moment, so while I made the fire for the evening, Giles sat and slaved over some pot noodles for the night. Pretty good they were. Yep. You know, we've actually seen our first live kangaroo on this trip. What a sight. Okay, it's day two. It's going to be a big drive today, about 600k plus I reckon. We're basically planning to try and get Hellhole Gorge tonight and camp there. So if we can't make it to Hellhole Gorge tonight, we're just going to do a quick roadside camp somewhere and then make an early start tomorrow. Just pulling over here just to drop the tire pressures down to about 22 psi. Just makes it a lot smoother, easier on the body and the truck. Finally made it to the Advale pub. It's a bit of a long trek. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon now, so we're just going to quickly pop in for a quick sherbet and then sign the visitor's book and then shoot off to Hellhole Gorge. We did a little bit of research before coming out to Hellhole Gorge, but certainly didn't read anything about two little creek crossings. Again, we didn't bother walking it because it's too hot outside, so let's just give it a go. So we finally made it to Hellhole Gorge. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're going to go and have a quick scout around, see if we can find somewhere to camp. Basically just one last crossing now just to get to the actual waterhole. There was a signpost up pointing to where to cross. But we entered the water there, come out the other side, and we just couldn't find a way through. It's basically just a dead end full of bushes and trees. So we decided really just to go downstream a little bit and then just go for it, just make a crossing here. We just probably spent an hour and a half going up and down, just trying to find someone to cross, and I was getting pretty fed up with it, so we thought, sod it, let's just go for it. So just having a quick stroll down to the waterhole. There was a temporary sign back up there stopping you from actually camping next to this waterhole, but we're only 50 metres away, so it wasn't really much of a hike. I thought I'd have a quick look to see if it was worth a swim and what the access was like before I sort of returned with Giles, who could hold my towel. Was it a good idea? Nah, definitely not. Water was deep and had all these hot and cold currents swirling around, and I really didn't feel comfortable, but it's one of those things you'll regret you never do. So tonight, over a beer and a roast, we sat down and planned our day 3. We both concluded we'd try and get to the South Australian border at Haddon Corner, just to say we basically made it to South Australia, no other reason. We planned on maybe camping there overnight. It was a bit of a risk with the fuel situation. We knew our next fill-up would be Winton, which is a couple of days away. So we had a backup plan, which was basically do a run to Birdsville and fill up there if we had any doubt in fuel. So it's day 3 now. Made the morning fire for the tea, so Giles can make his brew. Basically, it's going to be the last one of the whole trip, as we found out the fire ban extended to most of Queensland. So Giles never really got to use his Darcy fire pit, which he was pretty eager to use. We left what we reckoned was one of our most memorable campsites of the trip, returned the way we came, crossing the water again in the same place, and we headed off to South Australia, go and get some photos on the border. In the last few days, we've really not seen any other travellers apart from a few council road workers. We really were out on our own here. Haddon Corner, from the looks of it, looks like on the map it's just inside the Sturtstony Desert. So we did find a couple of dunes we had to cross just before getting into Haddon Corner. That really reminded me of last year's trip to the Simpson Desert. It was quite good just climbing those dunes again. We reckon Haddon Corner was a shocking place to camp. Nothing around, windy, hot and a million flies, so really it didn't take us long to agree. We'd just move on and try and make it to the Batuta Hotel and see the progress of the renovation work. It really wasn't that late in the afternoon. We made some good time, so we discussed really not camping at the Batuta pub. There really isn't much around and facilities aren't great, and basically the pub's not open. So we opted basically to carry on driving north towards Hunter's Gorge, passing through the Diamantina National Park, and we're just going to really just find a campsite along the way. We got about 100k into the park, pulled up for the night and just camped up behind a small dune. Today's day 4. We originally planned to camp at Hunter's Gorge before we set out on this trip, but because we bailed out from camping at Haddon Corner, we're a little ahead of schedule, so we decided to really make Hunter's Gorge an early lunch stop and then smash our way north to Winton. We reckon we should have about 80 kilometres left of fuel by the time we hit Winton. Really, we should have a bit more, but because we did Haddon Corner, it's taken a bit of a toll on the fuel. So we'll see how we go, hopefully get to Winton, or it's a call to the RACQ. Finally made it to Hunter's Gorge late in the morning. Giles cooked up a bit of a breakfast wrap, but the flies were absolutely horrendous, so after a quick stop we bailed and decided just to hit the road and keep heading north to Winton, get some fuel and some supplies, and then just head south there for the night. I had quite fond memories of this place when we camped there last year, but even though I'm not bothered too much by the flies, they beat us today. On the way up to Winton, I realised we almost forgot to visit the Old Cork station. I just noticed it on the HEMA map as we were heading north up through the national park. This was somewhat worth an hour or so for us to explore. The old abandoned homestead next to the Diamantina River was first settled in about 1870 and then abandoned in the late 1980s. Features a windmill to pump the water from the river, a little outhouse, and the building's still pretty much intact apart from the roof. Today's day 5. Heading from Winton to Longreach, Giles had a small interaction with the local police, and after exchanging a few pleasantries and some details, we carried on heading east towards Rockhampton and the Blackdown tablelands to camp there. But the distance is a little bit too big to make it in one day, so we decided we're just going to camp at a free campsite just north of Alpha, next to a small creek. Just found some dried up brown skins of the immature cicada. They're commonly found on tree trunks at the beginning of summer. It's day 6 today. We're leaving Alpha, our campsite there, and we're heading towards the Blackdown tablelands, which is about 100k east of Emerald. We plan to camp there overnight and visit the Rainbow Falls, which is about 5k south of the campsite. Not really expecting too much water flowing as we're in the middle of quite a harsh drought here in Queensland, but still worth going to have a look anyway. After a fair old climb up the tablelands, finally made it to the campsite, which is perched about 900 metres above sea level. Gave the transmission a fair workout as the outside temperature is just hovering around 39 degrees C at the moment. The view is definitely worth it though, it's pretty cool. The beer situation was getting pretty tight at this moment, so I basically had to make a decision. Alright, stare at me, look at me. Alright, back a bit more, back a bit more, back a bit more, a bit more. Just south of camp was Rainbow Falls. Had absolutely the whole place to ourselves. Later on we found out why after spending about 90 minutes walking up steep steps and rocks in the summer heat. Mad dogs in Englishman, they say.
Ah, my finger!
Should be alright. Day 7. Don't really know what day of the week it is, but it's definitely day 7. We're off to Rocky today, going to wash some clothes and have a pub lunch at the famous Criterion next to the croc-infested river. It's a bit embarrassing that after 7 days I only need to wash a towel and 2 pairs of underwear, but that's bush living, Barry. Right, housework's done. We're off to a small campsite now, just north of 1770, which is about a 2-hour drive from here. It's right next to the Pacific Ocean, and we've got basically the whole place to ourselves, which is pretty cool. It's really on par with the Hellhole Gorge camping for one of the top spots on this trip. It's time to pack up now, and with a restocked truck full of beer, we need to save a little bit of space, and we definitely didn't need tea anymore. No way. Today it's Sunday, it's day 8. We're off to find a church this morning for morning service, and then off to a place just west of Maryborough called Wongai Forest to camp overnight. I don't know what this clip's doing here, but it's pretty cool. It's day 9 today. We're heading down to Tiwa Beach after leaving Wongai. It's just south of Rainbow Beach. We're going to camp there before heading to Fraser tomorrow. High tide was just dropping, so we managed to time it right getting around the rocks at Rainbow. The plan was to cut through Double Island Point and then just camp further south for the night.